Oh my God, what's freaking up? Thanks for coming on the show with me, man.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. This is
So where are you right now? Are you in LA?
I am in LA. I'm home, just chilling at home, a little bit out of the city. I'm a little bit at an undisclosed location, let's say.
Yeah, but, that's how I do it. I say I'm on the outskirts of LA.
And I definitely am. I'm up in the mountains. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, nice. So you're not, are you in lockdown as much as the rest of LA?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same. It's still LA County, Yeah. It's so amazing. Like, you can go just 30 minutes outside of LA or the Valley, and it doesn't look anything like LA, and it's still totally LA County, and it's so beautiful. It can be like so gorgeous, just a lot of nature and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're anything like me, but I can't be in it. I can't
be in the city.
I can't be in Hollywood. I can't be downtown.
No, it's never going to happen for me. I'm not going to be able to do it. I lived in big cities for years, so that's why I can't do it. It's not that I'm not capable. It's just like I've already done it for about 20 years. So
yeah, but LA isn't even a normal big city. Like,
correct.
It's the suckiest city, like, out of them all.
Right. I mean, we love it for what it is, but it's very different. It's a strange, what to you stands out that makes it like really different from all the other cities?
Well, it's just not, I wouldn't consider it a normal big city because it's very sprawling. Everything's very separate, and a lot of it is suburbs. So I don't even think it's just not the city vibes. And you go downtown and it's just like sketch from block to block. And, I'm not really a fan of it, but I'm here for music. Like, I'm sure you came here for.
Yeah, I would have never moved to LA just for the weather or for anything else. I came here just for the music and the career and the art and all that stuff that's happening. So it's all good. Yeah, it feels very residential. Like, you drop someone off in the heart of LA, like, okay, take me to like the most common area. And
you'll be like WeHo or the Grove or something.
Yeah, you just like neighborhood bar, mall, and tons of like just residential like cul-de-sac. Like, what?
Yeah, it's very much like that. And I don't know, because the East Coast, I feel it's just a totally different breed of big cities. Like, you take New York and everything's built up. It's very condensed. And you have your little pocket neighborhoods, which you kind of have that in LA, but it's really like pocket suburbs are in between the other pockets of like cool spots. So what other cities have you lived in?
So, I mean, you just named them. I moved here from New York.
Yeah.
I was in Brooklyn up until about 5 years ago. So definitely moved all over New York. I mean, that's kind of common, Queens and different neighborhoods in Brooklyn. And then as far as other cities, I lived in Oakland for a year. Mm-hmm. That was random. I lived in Minnesota in Red Wing.
Oh, wow.
So random. That's where they make the Red Wing shoes, the boots.
Yeah.
Like the heavy work boots. That's all that town is known for. It's like an hour south of the Twin Cities. So we would go to Minneapolis, St. Paul to hang.
My best friend's in Fargo.
Oh. In the Dakotas.
Yep. And I was supposed to, which I know is on the other side of the state, but I was supposed to go there at the beginning of the year before COVID happened, because I was on tour and I had the other whole half of the country to do left, and Europe and Canada, and like I didn't get to do it. So I've never been to Minnesota, but she tells me about it.
It's pretty different.
It's pretty different.
It's pretty special. It's a lot of cheese curds. Not as many cheese curds as Wisconsin, but second
What's
most.
a cheese curd?
It's a Midwest thing. Like, I'm not from there, but like I said, I lived there long enough. They take a ball of cheese and just deep fry it. And it's like a religion out there. I mean, it's a cult. It's a cult
Hail the
following.
balls.
The balls of cheese fried in just like crazy greasy oil. I mean, it's just, you know how like we have mozzarella sticks and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's like kind of bar food and everyone's favorite junk food.
We got sticks.
Cheese,
They got the balls.
they got the balls. That's it. Put them together. It's like it's a whole thing. But yeah, cheese curds are a religion out there. They're so good. They're so good. I do love them. I do love them.
And, yeah. And were you out there for a while?
I was there for a year. I went to
Yeah.
school. Yeah, it was just a little random. Minnesota State College. So I went there to school, but it was like a technical school. We weren't being very smart. We were just hands-on.
Oh, okay. What kind of tech?
Musical instruments, repair.
You were making instruments. Oh, that's so cool.
Fixing them, yeah. Fixing, yeah.
Wow.
Repair,
that's actually really interesting. And is that because you were already in music as a player?
Yeah, I was already gigging. Like this was in my early 20s, and I was already gigging and already had an interest in instruments and a lot of playing. But also, I had like a little day job at a music shop, and I started off by just like cleaning instruments for them and just polishing and just being like the little shop person. And then they were like, "Wait, you're not bad at this. We can send you to school out there." And they actually gave me a little scholarship. They covered the tuition.
This music store.
The music store actually paid for me to go to school. And then I came back and like set up a full shop. Like everything I learned, I brought back to the shop and set it up and just built it and got all the equipment and the machines and worked there for a couple of years after that. And, you know, we kind of started it from zero and built it up. Wow.
And are you still doing that kind of stuff now?
Not at all. No,
Not
like
at
there's
all.
no time for it, and there's no shop. I don't have any of my tools anymore. But it was a cool phase. You know, it's just a skill that you kind of acquire. It's just a technical mechanical skill with your hands.
Have you ever been in a situation on tour where those skills have saved your butt?
Definitely. They it's not even like as much like they saved my butt. They were saving other bandmates' butts.
Yeah. Because they didn't know.
They didn't know. Well, they were going to be playing a broken instrument. I think we were on tour in Lithuania one time soon after that. And the Barry sax player, we had a horn player in the band, and he got like a backline instrument, you know, like the town just provided one because Barry sax is huge to travel with, and it's a lot. So the one that they brought him was just not, it was just trash. It was just like, it had been like dragged behind a garbage truck or something. I don't know. So he was like, dude, this thing doesn't even work. Like, I can't make a sound out of it. I don't know how I'm going to play the gig. And I was like, pass it over.
Hand it over to daddy. Let's do it.
Yep, I'll take care of it. I brought it back to my hotel room. And I didn't even have tools because I didn't plan on fixing.
Right.
It's just something I knew. And, you know, out of a toothbrush and some dental floss and whatever I could find in my hotel room, I got it to play. He played the gig on it that night.
Wow. That's such a cool story. Oh, my God.
It's something neat.
You know, you think about life in general, and I think about my life like this a lot, where I look back and I'm like, oh, that was like a detour. Oh, that was a phase. Oh, that was like this sidetrack thing that like I shouldn't have put so much time into or so much focus. Every single thing and experience that you have in life can directly influence and it's all the same ish. Like all skills, I think, can help in all trades and all aspects of a trade too.
Yeah. It all adds up.
I used to do acting stuff when I was younger, like 11 to 16. And I quit when I was 16 because I was in high school and I just wanted to do music. And my agent was putting me out for like rape victim roles and like all these crime scenes. And I was just like miserable all the time being these like dark, traumatized humans. So I was like, I love music. Music was always in my life. It makes me happy. Even sad songs, you know, like it's so much more fulfilling to be able to tell my story rather than someone else's script. Yeah. So I used to regret that time though and be like, man, if I had just focused on music more and like gone to not stop taking lessons and that sort of thing. But acting is a huge part of performance and being an artist. Like, you got to be real, and like in music videos, I think it really shows a lot.
Even on live, like I've seen your live stage performances, and it's like that stage presence is totally help. If you can be conscious enough of what you actually look like and presenting on stage, like it's entertainment, it's performance. It's way more than just us up there sitting and playing a song the way we would in our living room. I mean, sometimes it's that when you want the real sincere, honest vibe, like, hey guys, I'm just inviting you into my space kind of. But then there's times when that spotlight is on you and you're performing, you're entertaining. You gotta look like something people want to enjoy looking at. And so that acting thing I would think is a huge plus. That's a bonus.
Do you think that over the years performing with different artists, you've kind of developed a persona or a character that you portray on stage?
Yeah, it's funny. That's a very neat question. Like, I actually really appreciate that question. It's very on point. Because I remember there was a time I had absolutely no persona and no character developed. I was just me, like I knew who I was, but that was off the stage. And on the stage, I just thought of myself as a musician. Like, I'm a guy that practiced my instrument and hopefully sounds good playing it. And never thought about, like, wait, who am I up there? You know, what am I projecting? And then I kind of had to decide, like, I remember clearly working on it. It was just like, I got to build my character up. Like, I got to know what I wear, at least my style, just even if it's just all black, that's still the style. You know what I mean? Yeah. Down to shoes and hats and jackets or none of those things, whatever. And also just my presence. Like, I kind of had to put it together and be like, am I going to be the goofy jumping around guy? Like, or am I kind of like the stoic stand in the back bass player, like, just try not to drool on myself, like whatever it might be. Like, am I being weird? Am I being cool? Am I trying to be like, appeal to the average, whatever, or not at all? It was definitely a process, but you hit the nail right on the head that it was definitely a persona that I kind of built, but I also made sure that it was honest and true to myself. I didn't get too far away from who I actually am. So I don't have to get up there and just be fake. Right. I kind of find a way to just like fit into whatever's happening. Depending on the artist, it's like the vibe is always different, but I can still be consistent within that vibe and still sort of be me, the big bearded tall guy playing bass in the back, kind of chilling, not super high energy, but also like kind of involved, but chill. But a little playful with the whole situation. Yeah. No, and it's good to find that pocket, if you will, because when you're playing so many nights in a row, some nights you're like, you could give two craps, and other nights you're like, holy crap, this is the best moment of my life. And kind of finding that middle ground to be able to be honest with how you feel and not have to pull yourself up on those days that you're like hating it, Right. Because I'm sure it's all, relative to the, situation that you're in, whether it was like tough travel, you're just exhausted, or like the gig's just a whatever gig and you've been on the road for a really long time. I'm sure there's degrees to it. How much do you feel like a show like pulls you up and pulls the best out of you, or do you feel those times where you're just like, screw this? No, that's a great question. Now, I was literally just about to follow up with that too. The really good shows, when you're playing with really good people, great music, amazing audience, like the energy of the audience obviously will bring out the absolute best in you. But all those things kind of contribute to, in a way, you not having to be self-conscious, or even that you don't have to try as hard to get into that performance mode, because that energy is already all around you and you're just inspired, just being inspired and having a fun night makes it like you can just fall into your character more easily. Yeah. At least for me, Now if their energy is kind of low and the crowd is sort of like bored or like not really giving it back to you, then you have to push a little harder to like get that smile on your face or that performance mode, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Your rock star face, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Your little power stance. So I find it most naturally, it just happens on the best nights anyways.
Yeah.
Like when you're just having a good time, loving the music.
And do you feel like the band pulls you up at all? Like,
yeah, most of the situations that I play in, there's a live band. I'm not the only musician up there. Yeah. And so, the energy of the band is everything, like it's just when the camaraderie is good and everybody's not even cracking jokes, but just kind of laughing or just having a good time or just being so in the zone. It makes for the best nights. It's just so much fun. I remember doing a gig one time. I was hired to be the only musician on stage. And I mean, it was like, you may have more experience with this than me. It wasn't my show. It wasn't my music. I was still a backup sideman musician. Mm-hmm. But I was the only one up there. So we had tracks that I was running. I had my hands totally full. I was playing guitar and bass and running tracks. So like 3 separate jobs. Say it again.
And some guy was just singing.
Yeah, and the artist was singing. Yeah. So it was just like the one awkward lone musician in the corner. That was me with computers and guitars and switching like, oh, this bass, that guitar.
Yeah.
Doing all that. And I remember like that it was harder to bring that energy. Yeah. Because there was no band up there to interact with. So like you were saying, but having a band there, that always makes it easier. Yeah, it was a little tougher just to put on a show out of thin air. That's what that one felt like. And the show was sold out. It was a full house. It was packed. It was a good, and
so that told you a lot. There's a lot of influence of who's on stage, not just the audience.
It's not just the audience. It's awesome having like a dope, full of energy, sold out audience, but it's bigger than that even.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a lot of band stuff in my musician days where I was just playing for other people. And
because you're doing mostly your own artist stuff now.
Yes, yeah. And I went on tour solo. I had no band. I just flew myself out, put my guitar on my back.
Damn.
I literally go buy a keyboard at Guitar Center and return it before I took my flight out.
Nice. Yeah, the 30-day receipts are very useful. We know about that. Thank you, Guitar Center.
Yes, Guitar Center.
Rental center for years.
Yes.
Speaking of that, if I could just add 2 seconds. Yeah. It was to the point where I was doing that too. Not like all the time. It's not like I abused them. But there was a time that I don't know, something happened to my bass. Mm-hmm. We were on tour in California and bought the bass, played the gig. Okay, cool. It was great. But didn't get a chance to return it like you did. Yeah. So we just kept driving cross country. And I didn't.
You started collecting basses?
No. I just kept using that bass.
I
couldn't take a flight back to return it to the original location. I had the receipt and whatever. I ended up returning it in Minnesota, of all places. Just like a week or 2 later. Okay. I was like, thank God for the Guitar Center chain.
Yep.
They were all connected. They could just call each other being like, oh, yeah, this is a legitimate receipt. But, yeah, I took it across state lines.
Yep. No, I've done the same thing. It's a total lifesaver. And you say you wouldn't say you abused it. I would say I definitely abused it. I was so scared at one point that I was gonna like get caught or like.
That's hilarious.
Because I would start giving out like fake numbers and being like, oh, I'm just not in your system. Because I was so afraid they were going to see you were in Texas yesterday and you just returned the same freaking keyboard.
Right, exactly.
Like, oh my God.
Everything is showing up on your file and it doesn't look good.
Yeah. I just feel so bad because I'm a very honest, like forthright person. And I just felt like almost like I was stealing or something. But like a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do.
Stuck and borrowing.
When I'm traveling alone, I don't really have the luxury to
carry a ton of stuff.
Yeah, because I have to bring my merch. I can't ship merch. These gigs were too close back to back to ship.
Right.
So I had to deal with merch and my own things. And then I had my guitar. So there's no way I could have done that by myself with a keyboard. So
Yeah, that's way too much. Man, the life of an artist. The life
it's
of an
fun.
artist. Jesus, you gotta love this thing. Like, why would any sane person sign up for this?
We
Only because we love it and we can't really see another way.
isn't there. We don't have a choice. There's no
Hmm.
choice
Yeah, it kind of chose us.
in our blood. Yeah, it
Yeah.
shows. That's right. I don't regret it though. And I don't ever feel sorry for myself at all. Like I could be miserable doing something else, you know?
Right,
So
right, exactly. That choice is always there for us.
exactly. So I feel very content in my suffering, you know? This is what I
See, that's a true
love.
artist right there. That's what it takes. It's like, yep, this thing is brutal and barely possible, but I'm
Yep.
gonna do it because I want to. There's nothing else I really see myself doing.
Yeah.
Everything else is just a side job.
Yeah. Yeah. How long have you been doing this full time?
Shoot, maybe 20 years, I think.
Wow. Good for you. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. It's about. I started. I think I've played my first gig. Maybe 20 years is not accurate. I played my first gig when I was 14.
Okay.
So I started like pretty early on, like a paid gig. You know, we all play like music. If we start as a kid, you know, you play in church or you play with your family or friends, maybe like a little outdoor jam or like a park or something. But I remember the first time getting paid at the age of 14. Um, but
Playing
then
bass.
full time. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Playing bass.
At that time, what was I playing? I did play bass on that one. I
Okay.
did, yeah. And it was random because I was a guitar player. I
Oh.
was only practicing guitar, but like that band called me and they were like, "We don't care what you play. You're gonna play bass today."
Well, I
So
don't know. I'm sure you figured this out, but you know, bass players are a lot harder to come by. So that's a great strategy move too, as far as wanting to get the gigs.
you see what happened. You got it figured out. Yeah, I was being a guitar player, trying to be a guitar player and playing. Um, and then yeah, every time we'd start a band, there would be no bass player, and I was like, you know what? I heard it's a working man's instrument, and it's like the four low strings of a guitar. I think I could figure this out. So yeah, it came together, and then I realized how much I like it too. Got into like upright bass playing, you know, and studied that for a long time and still do. And then electric bass, of course. But yeah, it just kind of worked out being a working instrument, you know. They're a little tougher to come by. Bass players are busy.
Yeah, yeah, which is that's how we like it. I like to stay busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Not a bad thing at all.
yeah.
Seems to
So
work out.
do you still feel, because you know, coming from being a guitarist, do you feel at all you're shortchanged in how much you can express yourself through it, or more? Have you
Not
found?
at all shortchanged. Yeah, if anything more. I mean, at first glance, I know what you mean. The guitar players get more strings, more flash, more spotlight, more sparkles. But there's a way to take the power back as a bass
Yeah,
player, and actually, it's that power is there the whole time. It's once you really get to know the instrument and the role that the bass plays, you realize just how much you hold in your hands. You know,
yeah,
with that instrument. Everything from just how the band feels to how much energy is being fed to the band. Like, are we at a low simmer or are we roaring right now? Like, so much of that is up to the drums and the bass.
yeah,
You know, so no, I love the role. I love the way it allows me to express myself. And I also love supporting other instruments. Like, I think that's a part of the personality that
yeah.
gravitates towards bass and drums and rhythm section instruments, is like helping other people to sound good and making sure that they can shine. So it affords me that too. So yeah, I love and then opening up and taking a solo is full on expression. And even visually, I just got a bass with all sparkles, all
I
gold
saw the
sparkles.
gold one.
Did you see it? Did you see it?
Yes.
It's only like 2 days old. I just got it shipped to me. It was like custom built in Korea, in Seoul for me. to my specs, like exactly what I wanted. And the company is so sweet. They're so nice. They're called Mulan or Mulan. I think it's Mulan. I never know how to pronounce it, but they're amazing people and they make beautiful instruments and they were so kind and made it to my specs. But it's the gaudiest thing I've ever owned. I'm like
gold sparkly guitar bass.
Like just totally. And I'm like also already imagining what it's going to look like under the lights, under a spotlight. Because like now I'm in a mode of like, okay, what's this going to look like on the big stage? Like this matters. Yeah. I care. I just care. I used to be like, whatever. If my bass looks like a beat up old, whatever tub up there, it's fine. But now I've seen some photos, because you start working with professional photographers.
Yep.
And they're holding up their end of the bargain. They're taking these amazing shots, huge crowds or no crowd and just a spotlight or just a band picture with all that energy. And like, I'm like, my bass better look cool.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Like, I'm trying to make this thing look, it's another part of the show. Like, yes, we care about the music and the details, but wouldn't it be dope if the camera or the spotlight is on it, the bass also looked great? So I went for the gaudiest thing. I'm now like so into sparkles.
These guys are so into sparkles.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Like just like a big grown bass player talking about, oh, sparkles are the best. And I like them in the craziest colors. Like I got it in gold, but if it wasn't going to be gold, it was going to be purple. And I got a purple sparkle Telecaster. I already have one of those. Yeah. So I got a guitar in purple sparkle and now a bass in gold sparkle.
Yeah.
Champagne, silver sparkle. Like I just love it. I love all those. I don't know what's wrong with me.
There's nothing wrong with you. I have the sparkle disease as well. I'll be walking down the street and something sparkly. It's just like I'm so ADHD. It's like squirrel, sparkly. It's just great. And I mean, I like the punk rock vibe too. Like I think there is a place for like beat up and that more.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Vintage instruments and the beat up instruments are still beautiful to me.
Yeah.
That's what my other half of instruments look like. All like paint wearing and beat up and the cracked spots. So like, that's a vibe forever. No one can even dispute that. But on top of that, I'm just adding sparkles as also the greatest thing in the world. Just like unicorns. I want my guitar to look like a crazy unicorn.
Do you think you got more into that over time as your gigs changed too?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's from pop music.
Yeah.
I was never, because I was a jazzer for a long time. And for a long time, I was just a jazzer. Like I spent years, like I said, like on my upright bass. Like those are never sparkly. Those are just, they look like a big piece of, you know what?
Just throw some glitter on it, man. Do it.
Custom purple sparkle upright bass. That would be the first. But it was just like, normally they just look like a natural piece of wood, like a furniture. It's actually like a cabinet or something. Right. So they're beautiful in their own way, especially the worn, like old vintage beat up, repaired a million times ones.
Yeah.
But as I got into playing pop music and playing some bigger rooms and just stage presentation and show and, how it looks from the audience perspective. And you just want them to have a good time. You just do. I play for the people. I don't play for other musicians. I don't play to impress myself. Like I know what I can do. I'm content with it. It's fine. I'm not impressed actually, but it's cool. I know, you're
a musician. I get it.
It's regular to me, but but to see the audience having a great time is the best thing for me.
Yeah.
That's why I do it now.
Yeah.
So, the look and the image and the sparkles and getting into the crazy design or whatever definitely came with playing pop music and smoke and lights and show presentation. Like that matters. I love it.
Are you missing it right now? What were you doing before COVID hit? What got you off the road?
I'm definitely missing it. Yeah. I'm a typical story of like, was about to have an amazing year. Yeah. 2020 was about to be super killing. The year of the clear vision, 2020. Yep.
Gonna travel the world.
Yep. Literally just before COVID hit, I was scheduled to play Coachella with two artists. So I was supposed to be there with Lil Nas X, which was going to be a crazy turn up show of just jumping around playing Old Town Road. And then another Argentinian artist, this girl from Argentina that's coming up. So it was going to be 2 different stages back to back. I was going to have to run between the 2 and kind of, try to do it all.
That was supposed to be April, right?
That was April. And then they postponed it to October. And now we know that there's no way that it could happen. Like, we don't even want it to happen now because a crowd of 100,000 is just looks like a nightmare right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, lost those 2 like at the drop of a dime. And I had a jazz festival in Saudi Arabia leading up to it week prior. Lost that too, obviously, in Riyadh.
In April too, yeah.
And that would have been
on
cool.
the road when this COVID thing happened and you had to be sent home?
No. Fortunately, all year I've been home. I think even in January and February, I might have played only 1 or 2 gigs on the road. I played a couple shows in town, and we did something with Charlie on the road in New York, I think February. That may have been the last live show that I played, like a big live show. We did do a thing with Charlie maybe a month ago. Yeah, it's been almost a month for the Today Show. Like a live stream, no audience. We filmed it at his house. It's his new single promo, and they put it on the Today Show and just streamed it in.
Did he come here for that?
He lives in LA.
Oh.
Yeah, he lives in LA. Yeah, Charlie's been living in LA.
You're talking about Charlie Puth. I thought you were talking about Charles Wilson for a second because I know you played with him too.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean Charlie Puth, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Charlie lives out here, so we filmed it at his house. Like a camera crew. But the cool thing that was happening and has saved my butt this year with what's happening with COVID and music is all year I'd been making records. The end of last year and all like January, February, March, and right up through even right now, I've been in studio mode. Like everybody was forced to say that anyways. Once COVID hit, it was like, oh, I'm a studio musician now. Like,
you were already there.
Like I was definitely already there. I was working with Raphael Sadiq in his studio right up till the day that the COVID lockdown happened. I remember the last session over there was with Common, working on his new upcoming album and writing and creating.
Is that out yet?
No, I don't think so. But it's definitely exciting.
Yeah.
He's so cool. He was so chill and just such a great dude to hang with and so talented with what he was, the creativity.
You guys get it done?
We're getting it done. I don't think it's not finished yet.
Okay.
But yeah, it was cool, and we got to contribute and write too, not just play, but actually create some parts and contribute to that. But yeah, there was just a lot of projects going on. John Legend record, a couple of the John Legend records out of that studio, and
that just came out, right?
That album is now out. Yep. Very proud to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So I was already in studio mode. There was a TV show that we were working on and still continuing to work on for National Geographic. So it's like, thank God somehow this year it was going to be some touring and some cool live shows and big festivals, but it was also like a studio year already. It was slated to be, records. So thank God, because I just continued in that momentum just from my home studio.
Yeah.
Set up some DIs and I got another computer and more basses and just got all my gear and microphones and upright bass and guitar and just been doing records from home. So thank God.
What are you making right now? Are you like sending things to people, or are you doing your own thing too?
It's both. So I have my own album with my trio. That's on the way. That's getting mixed right now. So that's in the mixing stages. That's original music. It's all like improvised. It's that show that we do at Hotel Cafe.
With Charles. The ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know the peeps.
So that's original music.
Yeah.
And that's getting mixed. And then everything else is working for other people, because that part is like my own self-expression, creativity. Then everything else is like, hey, we need a couple files, just bass parts sent for this TV show. Okay, I'll record it, mail it in, just send you the file. A friend of mine has a guitar project, like a power trio thing. Played on that, sent him the file. That album is coming out.
PJ money, I call it.
Yeah, it's just, different types of things. Or even with Charlie Puth, like sometimes he'll randomly hit me up and be like, "Yo, put a funky little bass line on this.
Yeah,
let's see what happens."
Yo, I want to ask you about him because he gets a lot of ish online.
Does he? I guess I'm out of it. I'm on social media, but what's happening? Fill me in.
It's in the music community.
Yes.
That he gets ished on. That he's not a real musician and he's just like showing off basically. Like he knows a few cool licks and that's all he's got, I don't see that. I don't get where that comes from.
What do you see? I want to know.
He impresses me, and I want to ask you what it really is because you've worked with him
for 4 years now.
He impresses me. I don't know if he has perfect pitch. I think that's where this whole thing got controversial and hated on, is because he said that he has perfect pitch, and people wanted to hate on him that no, he doesn't. He's lying. I don't even freaking know. Why would someone lie about that?
Awesome.
But whatever.
That's hilarious. I think this whole thing is funny. But thank you for opening my eyes to that. I didn't even know that's happening.
Yeah.
I don't follow a lot of the fan accounts or the I don't even know on what accounts they would be talking about all this stuff. But whatever it is, I don't follow it.
It was a while ago. It was on YouTube. I went down this wormhole by accident of just a bunch of Charlie Puth in the studio, Charlie Puth at rehearsal showing off, all this random stuff. This was a year ago, more than a year. And I just went down this rabbit hole and was seeing all these trolls. Maybe that's just the internet, but I was like, dude, this guy's playing amazing right now. Yeah. How can you hate on that? He's really playing.
Yeah.
So does first of all, does he have perfect pitch?
He absolutely has perfect pitch. And it's not, there's degrees of even that. Because we all in the music community, if you're a professional musician, if you don't have it yourself, you know someone that does. Mm-hmm. But you can ask them about their perfect pitch, and you'd be like, okay, is this song in the original key? And you play them a random song in a random key, or you can go over the piano and do a blind study, just like, hey, what note is this? Oh, it's a C sharp. Right. But then there are levels above that of perfect pitch still. Meaning, what note is your refrigerator humming in?
Yeah.
What key is your refrigerator humming in?
That's where I go, which I don't think I don't have perfect pitch at all, but I get curious. Mm-hmm. I'll hear a squeak and I'm like, oh my God, that is the same pitch as my electric toothbrush. This is crazy.
Yep. Everything is a note. You realize even just a clap.
Our voices.
Our voices, we go to a note. There's a shape to the line of the notes that we, express even in conversation. So there's levels of it where people are just like, oh, I know on the piano we're in C sharp, or oh, I know we're definitely, that's a B flat. And then there's oh no, that squeak that squirrel just made across the road is definitely an out of tune F sharp for sure. That's Charlie's level of perfect pitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I work with a bunch of perfect pitch musicians. I don't have it. I just have relative, and that's fine. It gets me by just fine. And he's definitely a level above. So whether he's bragging or not is really funny to me. I know him really well. I've worked with him for 4 years now. Yeah. And everything from recording. I know Charlie in the studio setting, all over the world in different countries and on the road and chilling on days off and hanging just at his house. So I kind of know the guy pretty well. Yeah. And he's actually pretty humble. He's quick to give it up to other musicians. He's quick with a compliment to another musician, to a producer that he admires, to an amazing instrumentalist that he listens to. He's so quick to just give it up to them. So to me, it's funny that's even a conversation.
Which I didn't get it at all, which is why I remember it, because this was a while ago and it was just some random hour.
The internet doesn't know. The internet doesn't know, and it also thrives on those kind of topics and taking that. It's no fun to be like, Oh yeah, someone really is just a great human being, or they're just that great of a musician, and no story left there. Like that's not controversial. That's not something to have a fight about. But if you go, oh, such and such is a phony and he's a fake, or he's just fronting, or did you know he's lip syncing the whole time? Then it's just like, ooh, juicy story. You know, like everybody loves it. Let's argue.
Yeah.
You know,
He seems
so
like a really nice guy. I've seen you guys actually play live. You know, Prince and I did that DJ set before you guys
yeah,
did that one Sony.
yeah, totally.
And he really feels like that humble type, like you're saying. But I think that kind of comes from he went to music school. He's a musician's musician. Like,
Correct.
which is
You
why
got
I
it.
think he sees
Correct
himself
assessment.
in you guys and is so humble about it because he knows what it takes to get to where he's got. He didn't get any handouts. He worked for it. So,
Yeah, he definitely did. He was at Berkeley, studying and putting in his work. Like somebody told me that Charlie even had like a manager and merch by the time he was at Berkeley. He was a student that had it. So he was so on the music business thing.
right.
Like he was like the YouTube guy, you know, he kind of had like a YouTuber thing going on first. That's kind of how it cracked off for him. But yeah, he had management or a manager. Um, he had merch. He was just like ready. He was putting in the work and set for that long. I don't think he was set to be an artist. He wasn't singing until the last few years. But he was definitely trying to produce and write and
So then what
play.
was his merch? What was his brand? If
He
he
still had, it was still some kind of a Charlie Puth thing.
Oh,
It
okay,
was just like basically not hire me, Charlie Puth, I'm the singer, hire me, I'm the producer,
Got
you
it.
know, or I'm the artist, I'm the writer. Because he was writing and playing piano. And I think he's been in piano lessons. He had been since he was a kid. His mom is a piano teacher. So between the perfect pitch and like reading, writing music, composing, and orchestrating, like that was always his thing. And then the artist thing came in last. At least that's what he told me, you know. Like, hey, if you really want to be famous, you're gonna have to sing, like that kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know.
So you've been in the studio with him?
A ton, yeah.
What is his process like? Is he producing in the times that you've been there? What is
Yeah,
that?
I've seen different. I mean, a lot of times if I'm there, he's focusing on bass because it almost always that means he's invited me to come in and actually lay down a bass line.
Right.
And he's so specific about it already.
Wow.
Like I actually love that. You know, as a
Sing it out
sideman,
for you or play it out?
it helps. Yeah. Oh, by the time I come in, a lot of times he has it mapped out.
Yeah.
So he'll be like, hey, you know, this is a crappy sound. I got a little fake bass sound, and it's actually a good sound. It'll be something really good. But he's like, I just played this on synth bass. These are the notes. This is the idea, you know. But just bring that authentic, real sound, strings, you know, fingers on strings. But he has it mapped out. He knows exactly how he wants it to go, and if he's going to change it, it'll be later on or something. But yeah, so a lot of times if I'm there, we're specifically tracking bass. That's before COVID. Now with COVID, I've been just sending in the files and letting him adjust it and tweak it. But yeah, a lot of times, so we're just working on bass, just tracking, making sure to get a great sound and the parts that he wants. And then the other time, I've seen him vocal edit. I've seen him do 100 vocal takes off of the microphone at different angles, stack his vocals, layer. He's so detail oriented that he'll just focus on like one measure or one moment and keep replaying it and just tweak and fine tune. A syllable, he might be just like making sure the P or like a puh, whatever sound is just getting dialed in just right. You know, just like definitely a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And he'll be working in the studio 8-10 hours a day. I mean, he's in there like, and even on the road, sorry, even when we're traveling, like he might be working on it up until the time it comes time to get on stage.
Like on a laptop or something?
Laptop. Well, he's got a whole studio set up in the back, you know, in the green room. We were traveling with a whole studio, you know, that was getting set up in every arena in his green room so he could work up until the time that it was time to actually perform.
Wow. Okay, I have so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm learning how to produce. The last the last three tracks I put out, I self-produced.
Dope.
And I'm finally getting to a place where last one I mixed myself even. So
Nice.
I'm learning, and I can definitely hyper focus. I'm ADHD, so I like hyper focus. I zone in, and yeah, like 10 hours can go by, and I don't.
It's productive, yeah.
Do you ever see him get frustrated, or does he just like dive in a more like intrigued way, or does he like get pissed off about stuff?
No, I actually never see him get frustrated in the studio. I mean, he's such a great engineer, meaning like just engineering for himself for years. So getting around Logic and actually like Pro Tools and Ableton, that workflow is really fast, right? I don't see him getting hung up too much on.
So he didn't even have an engineer with him then?
He's always engineering.
All him. Wow.
That's why I'm saying it's really funny that he'd be getting dogged online. So he's his own engineer. Every track by him, he produced it himself. Everything is self-produced. No, there's no other producer ever. Maybe sometimes most of it is written by him too.
Wow.
And he writes for a lot of other people. There's songs that we know that are by other artists that he wrote, produced. Remember Trey Song's song called Slow Motion that was everywhere? It's all completely Charlie. All of that is Charlie. So right down to the backgrounds.
The vocals, is it?
The background vocals are still Charlie.
Okay.
Like Trey literally only replaced the leads.
Wow.
And Charlie showed me the original demo that he had sent to Trey, and it's exactly the record we know from the radio.
Wow, that's amazing.
He produced and wrote all of that. Sometimes he'll like co-write with another top liner or a lyricist or a melody.
But then he's probably engineering and producing.
He's the only engineer on it, I guarantee you, and he's the only producer usually. No
wonder he's at where he's at.
Yeah, that's why it's hilarious. It's really funny. Like I guess I feel like I'm defending him, but it's like, it's not even defending because I believe the truth speaks for itself. So it's like funny, like why defend something that's so blatantly real and obvious? I mean, like he literally is the most talented person I've ever worked with.
People are jealous.
And it's fine. Let them be. I mean, what do they say is like any news is good news, or like,
all publicity.
They're talking about you.
Whatever.
Yeah, any publicity is good publicity. There it is. Yeah. As long as they're talking about you, you're doing great.
Yeah. No, and I do believe that, and it's so impressive to hear that. And I hope that I have a similar path. I'm just going to say it because I just last year at this time I was like, next year I'm going to be able to produce my own music, and I'm not going to have anything holding me back. No, I'm not going to ever need anybody's help. I can just go at my pace, which is doing it all the freaking time.
Yeah, every day.
I got there less than a year. And I put out 3 tracks already that I did myself. So it's really cool to hear that people are going that way, because I do know a lot of artists, and it pains me because I was there being the frustrated artist trying to get people to help me and to work with me and to give a crap about me for 2 seconds to get in a room. And it's so frustrating. And it sounds like you have a setup there yourself too, where you don't need anybody either.
I mean, it's cool when people come over and we collaborate. Like I was up till 4 a.m. last night in the studio here. Some friends came over just creating.
Yeah.
But I can work by myself too.
Yeah. Do you have a preference?
No, I like both.
Yeah.
I like working with people, but I like getting into the details by myself, and just feeling really focused and just obsessing on the parts and just the perfection of it.
So do you feel a lot of yourself in how Charlie works then? It sounds like, focusing on the details.
I would put him on a whole other level. No, wow. There's no way that I'm anywhere as close as a producer.
Yeah.
I just get my basics just enough to track myself and produce some little things here and there. I mean, his mixes are incredible. He'll be like, "This is a rough mix." I'm like, "Dude, this sounds like it's ready for the radio." And he's like, "No, no, no, no. I got to have Manny go over this, and he'll send it to one of the top mixing engineers in the industry. But his rough mixes are not rough at all. There's no way I can't mix. I would be lying. Or engineering just on that level, 100 tracks of vocals and drums and programming and keyboards of all sorts. No way am I there. I'm a musician that's functional at getting their stuff down.
I mean, that works. And what really inspired me on my journey and to really dive in head first and get my hands dirty with this and learn how to do it myself, like figure it all out, YouTube and Google a whole bunch of stuff while I'm like struggling, and go through the growing pains is Phineas and Billie Eilish.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are
They're on it.
Basics, like
super inspiring, right?
In bed,
the way they are approaching it is super inspiring. They're like the real deal.
Cool. It's so cool. And so you don't need much anymore these days, and you can keep it basic, and you can just keep to the simpleness, and it works. It's about the feel in the song at the end of the day anyway.
Totally. Who cares how you got there?
Yeah.
Who cares how you got there? Yeah. Some people produce and they don't have a single instrument. They don't even have a guitar sitting there like you do on a stand. It's just all sound libraries and their creativity and ideas. And they're just putting stuff down, and it makes people feel something on the other end. And that is art. That is music. That's why we do it. And if you play if you're Jacob Collier and you play every instrument live in the studio and layer them and stack them and then put all those vocals, that's dope too. Like obviously years of practice on each instrument, but
I was thinking of him when we were talking about the perfect pitch thing.
Oh, he's completely on it. Jacob he's an alien. He's from another planet. Like I don't even understand.
Yeah.
He's a total wizard. With Charlie too, like Charlie will play piano on like a level of harmony and chord that's just kind of unbelievable. Like, and he can really improvise and play jazz and play over chord changes. Like oftentimes if we're just hanging and he just wants to stretch out, he won't be playing his own songs. We'll go from a Yellow Jackets tune to a Pat Metheny tune to a Janet Jackson song or something that Jimmy Jam Terry Lewis produced. And then he'll go to a jazz standard. A lot of times, like he even had like a jazz party at his house where he just got a bunch of instruments and people invited and playing just strictly like straight ahead jazz and swing and all that stuff. So, as a musician and he'll take live solos during his shows. He's ripping up solos. Like those are real. Those are not mimed. They're different every time, and they're created and improvised on the spot. Wow. He's like a little jazzer. He's definitely a jazz kid for sure, and he loves those records. So the sheer musical facility on his instrument is really proficient too, And Jacob Collier obviously is like ruling on that end.
And it's interesting because Jacob's not going mainstream. He's staying niche.
It's very different. Yeah, Jacob is like found his thing, it seems. And he's very happy being in that unique lane, and he's got everyone's attention. He's got everyone's respect from Herbie Hancock to Quincy Jones. Yeah. But at the same time, he's not trying to be on pop radio. He's just happy stacking his vocals 100 times and creating the tracks and the songs and just putting it out in his own lane.
Which I think discredits the hate Charlie gets on top of it, because he could be showing off all the time, but he's choosing to do less. Exactly.
Charlie's thing.
Pop,
Yep. Charlie, and I've had this conversation with him. He's like, I got to find ways to sneak in these jazz chords. That's what he always says. Just like, I love these jazz chords. I love these gospel chords from church. But he's like, I can't overdo it. I don't want to oversaturate the people. I still am making simple pop records. I still want something that resonates with just the average person going about their day. So Charlie's genius, one of his geniuses, is actually paring down and simplifying what he knows. It's like he knows too much.
Yeah.
And he has to kind of like calm it down and be like, okay, I can sneak in this one chord, but the rest of it's still got to be palatable.
Yeah.
So that they can play it on pop radio. And he's writing for so many other people. You know, like he's got records with Pitbull. He's got records with just
Is
like,
he doing that now?
I mean, no, these records have been out for years. I mean, but yeah, he's constant. I don't know who he's writing for right now,
But
but
he still does, even though he's his own artist. He's
oh
still.
yeah, no. That's always been in parallel. It's not like he was doing that until he got his own thing.
Do you think it's because like songs come out and sometimes they just don't fit him, but he'll end up finishing it and like give it to
There's
someone, or
that.
does
Yeah,
he
even
sit down and decide he's doing it for someone else?
yeah, that happens. Or sometimes he's intentionally writing for another artist. Like,
Yeah.
hey, Katy Perry needs a new song. Cool, bet here it is. You again, that one from the Fast and Furious that went like 10 times platinum. That record, it's his biggest record with Wiz Khalifa. That was written for Sam Smith. Sam was supposed to sing that.
Huh.
He wrote that for Sam, and then whatever twist of fate or turns, he ended up singing
Work
it.
out, and he got to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's written for so many other, so many other artists. So yeah, it's just funny for me. I don't even have to defend it. He doesn't have to defend it. It's not really about that at all. Cause it's
Maybe
like,
I just found like one random thread.
no, there's probably a bazillion haters out there. Like keep them coming. It's great. The more people talk about it.
It just shocked me because it seemed so contrary to what the truth is blatantly obvious in everything he does. So yeah.
No, I've gotten so lucky to work with him. There's nobody in pop music and current pop music that I think that I enjoy working with more than Charlie. And I love working with all the artists that I get to work with, but I don't know that there's anybody more just naturally gifted and with more abilities and talents than Charlie out there as far as songwriting, performance. So yeah, it speaks for itself. Like, the truth will come out. Let the haters hate. It's cool.
Yep.
Keep it coming. They'll, album after album. It speaks for itself.
No, I love it, and it's really cool to see him. And I know maybe I'm just bringing it back to me too much, but I like seeing someone doing it all themselves, because you don't see that. And
he's actually bringing back a different kind of breed of artist that people like us are inspired by, because it makes us feel like, well, if he can do it, it's possible, to actually play and compose and produce and record yourself and be sincere and genuine and pour your own heart out and actually have people like it and listen to it.
I feel like it's a lot of my mission to vocalize that, because for a long time, like I said, I felt victim to having to use other people to help me, and finding resources. But it's like, I'm a really smart girl. I can figure it out, and I can be my own resource. So when I figured that out, I realized how many excuses I had in my head. Oh, I don't like sitting down at the computer and toying with buttons and like tweaking.
Right.
And like, oh God, I just want to write a song and be an artist. Like, No, it's so much more fulfilling to figure it out. And I feel that even creatively, like the song ends up being different because I got to put my own.
Totally.
The synth inspired something this to then that. And then it's like, it's a whole creative writing process of its own in a way, producing. So.
And the creative control, I think, is huge. Like like you're headed in that direction, and so many other artists now are, where they're not just bringing themselves as a raw talent to, say, a record label or an A&R or a producer and be like, mold me, shape me, create the tracks around me, clean up my mistakes, melodyne pitch my voice to be perfect. What character am I building? Create my image, what lane. It's not that. It used to be more of that happening in pop music, where they'd be like, oh yeah, let's just take Nova. We'll turn her into this. We'll dress her up like this. We'll market her like this, put her on this shelf, and she'll fit perfectly into this category. Right. It's like now the creative control is falling way more into the hands of the artists, with the labels almost having to either pass on it or to go into a deal with you if you're going to be signed at all, if you're not independent, which is now obviously, the way to go.
Which is what I've heard is like, now if you want to be an artist, you already have to have what labels
dialed. Everything has got to be a finished product.
And So even if it's a finished product, doesn't it also have to have the numbers behind it to prove to them that they can make money off of you?
Yes, yeah, but the numbers, I mean, like there's no science and I'm no record label exec. So I just overhear and oversee things, you know, just in passing from the industry. But the numbers, you may not necessarily have to be able to have sold records in the past, but social media numbers are definitely play a huge role in what they see is as potential. So like if you come to them and you already have an image like purple hair with this sparkly vibes, I got this sound, my songs are produced, this is like I've got a niche audience or a certain kind of sound, and I've got some followers, like a decent amount. I don't know what that might be. I don't know, 20,000 followers or some amount. Then that is the full package that I think that they consider as potential. Then they go, okay, all we have to do is put the machine behind this thing, pour some money in. She's already got a look, she's got a following, she's got a sound. The songs are ready. We don't have to produce and shape and mold too much. It's like
They don't want to groom. They don't even want to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's like they want the finished product. And then they want to decide whether they're getting on board with it or not. And then half the time they're still not going to get on board. And that's fine. We don't care.
Do you know, like with Charlie or any other like artists you've worked with, are they under the thumb of the label a lot? Do they have to change things a lot? Or are they pretty much?
You're reading my mind because I was literally about to mention that. So he has a lot of creative control. And because he's producing it from beginning to end himself. And I've seen him kind of basically say this is what it's going to be. I've seen labels even in that situation still pick what your single is going to be though. So say you present 10 songs that's your album or 12 songs, and then you know 3 or 4 of them are really good. Everyone agrees, okay, these 3 or 4 are like dope. These are going to be the singles, or these are the highlights or whatever. I've seen labels even in that situation still go, oh no, that should be the single, even though the artist thinks that one, you know, where they still kind of will make you put one song ahead of another on the radio. Like, oh, we can only promote 2 singles off of this album and it's going to be these 2 songs. And the artist might think, oh no, I thought it was going to be these 2. So I've seen them do that.
But what about like going into the creative process? Because I've heard of people who get record deals and they're like, we want you to make this album, you know?
Yeah, I think that was even more common back in the day. They used to just be like, oh, yeah, your last album was kind of like moody. We need something way more edgy, you know, from you. Like, no, that thing.
You use those little adjectives, those vague words.
These mysterious words that technically don't mean anything. And like,
I don't know what the freak edgy sounds like. Like,
yeah, words?
There's so many versions of that.
Words are no good at describing music. So yeah, those are weird industry and exact terms. But they used to really push for that, you know, like, I think there's still some of that going on, but I actually see a trend of some of that calming down. Like I said, a label just won't get on board with you, period, which is fine. You just keep searching.
I feel like it could be because this is the information age. We have access to music one click away. I feel like people who are making music are just more educated on what there is and what is trending. So it's like, I don't even know if we need to be told anymore. Like, we know if it's
that's the thing,
in this lane or that lane.
That's the thing, is like they're listening to the artist because the artist actually knows best. Not just from the traditional standpoint of we know the artist knows best because the artist, that's their life and their passion. Yeah, well, the artist is like 20 years old, let's say, and scrolling on the gram every day. That puts them at the heartbeat of what's happening. What's the latest TikTok thing that's popping? What's the dance? What's the trend? What hashtag is blowing up right now? Like, how are people wearing their socks? Are their shoes inside out? Oh, that's not cool anymore. My bad. I'm a 45-year-old exec. How could I keep up with it? Yeah. You know what I mean? But the 20-year-old kid who might be the artist or close to the artist will know way better.
Yeah, we're on the level with our audience because we are the demographic of our audience. Typically.
I heard that about Lil Nas X. Is like,
Mm.
He's like, people are listening to what he has to say because he is with it. Like,
Yeah.
he is that generation that would know the latest trend. It's like where somebody's dad may be completely out of it. Like, no, this dude is on the gram. He knows how people respond to his account, what posts do well, which ones don't. Like, all these things would take scientific study, or you could just hire a 20-year-old that's just bored. You know what I mean? Your average bored
The
20
whole labels team.
Yeah, so they realize that the way for them to make money is actually to listen to the streets, to listen to the kids, listen to the people that are actually in it, instead of being
And
like,
I
"Whoa,"
think, yeah, and I
you
think
know?
for someone like me who's a 20-something-year-old, I would say I'm a bit of a rebel. I don't seek the trends at all. I think there is maybe there's a gray area and room for artistic interpretation, I suppose, in that there are trends that I will not touch, and I go, you know what? I'm going to do the exact opposite and be the rebel. And sometimes that works too. But you're at least aware that that other thing is a trend, which.
And not only that, but let me point out, as you rebel against the trend and be like, I want to be exactly opposite of that, you are actually super and hyper aware of your own counterculture.
Counterculture. Ooh.
You see what I did there? No, but what I'm saying is the anti-trend is a trend too. And I'm not saying that to put that down, but I'm saying if your music or your lifestyle or the way you dress is a reaction to the mainstream, then you are an expert to the counterculture, to the reaction. You know what I mean? So like, I could ask you all the things that you're not doing on purpose, what you don't like, what doesn't, and you could clearly spell it out for me. Like, it's this hairstyle or that kind of trend, or like, you know, the type of selfie where they pose and do this. Like, you know what you're not doing, and therefore you become an expert on what you are doing. You know what I mean? And other people that you're like, oh, I do like how this other artist approaches it. Like, that's inspiring to me. So you become an expert on the smaller trends, the underground. You know what I mean? So you're actually still totally on top of it.
I hope so. Sometimes I feel like I'm an old dog trying to learn new tricks, but sometimes also I feel like I'm always evolving and changing, and that's okay too. So
Totally.
it's kind of, for me, I know this is like kind of a weird place that we've come to, but just as an artist, like deciding when I'm going to be flexible and try something different, and then stick to my guns on something else. And sometimes sticking to your guns and just being like that forever, and people will come to love you for it, is one way of doing it. And sometimes being like, you know what, I think I can do that better. I'm going to up my game and do what someone else, kind of a different version of what someone else is doing that way. So it's always weird as an artist, like kind of navigating.
Yeah, there's constantly forks in the road, and you're choosing.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're choosing the mainstream or the not so mainstream one. But like I said before, I would still argue that you're an expert in choosing like some underground stuff. You know what I mean? And knowing what pages resonate with you, what artists are doing, and kind of knowing that community and that movement really well. And so if I was an exec, I would still listen to what you would say for that kind of movement. Like, what about this underground vibe? Like, what are people really onto in that scene right now? You know, it's like,
Yeah, I love what you're saying, and you should consult artists or something. So many more people need to hear what you're saying.
Interesting.
Because it's just so true. It's so true.
I thought it was just common sense, just like common knowledge.
I don't think everybody knows. But okay, so I want to bring it back to you and close with, how can we support you? What can we do to help you and hear what you're making right now?
That's so dope. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. If you want to immediately support me, you can go to any music platform from iTunes to Spotify, and my original band and our all original music is on there, so that you can stream that and enjoy our album. My band is called Improv Trio. Improv is in improvisation. Improv Trio. Our album is called Improv Trio Live at Hotel Cafe Volume 1. And Volume 2 is on the way.
I was there for that, by the way.
That's so dope. Thank you so much. Yeah. That's very sweet. Volume 2 is on the way. I think it's a double album, so there's a ton more material coming. But if you want to directly support me as an artist and my band, our indie thing, we're not on anybody's label. Everything is self-produced, we put it out ourselves. Improv Trio, Live at Hotel Cafe, Volume 1. Then, if you want to hear me play music and indirectly support, well, it's all support. I appreciate it all, is on other artists' records. That's okay to mention too, right?
Yeah, totally.
So the latest John Legend album, if you check that out, you'll be listening to me amongst a bunch of other amazing artists and musicians. Then the latest Charlie Puth single, as we talked, is called Girlfriend. I am playing bass on that. If you stream that, you're supporting me, you're supporting Charlie, you're supporting us getting back out there and playing concerts, even if it's live stream concerts. The latest Dionne Warwick album, Christmas album. I don't know why you'd want Christmas music.
In July?
In July. That'd be super weird, but hey, if you feel like it, I think it's called Voices of Christmas. The latest John Legend record was also a Christmas one before that. I played on that. Maybe in December, think about streaming those. Support down the road.
This is going to be up forever. So whatever links you want me to put, it's going to be below. Find all your
Yeah, I can send you the links. I'm probably spacing out on something else.
Follow on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm Tall Bassist on Instagram.
Yeah.
Just straight up Tall Bassist, the way you would describe me. And I kind of post, all different things from my original projects to other projects, and my gear and whatever, cool new things. I try to stay up on that. I don't know if I'm missing anything. I think
anything that you have, I will put below if you remember later.
I appreciate it.
I thank you for your time and talking.
Thank you.
It's so cool to talk to other musicians and artists. I have such a soft spot in my heart because I am one, and my boss pod has turned into mostly musicians. But I can't help it because we're in a tough business, and we have tough jobs, and I think it's really good to bring light to what it's really like and how we're bossing it out. So
thank you for having me. This was super fun.
Yeah,
I had a blast. This was a great conversation.
Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.